Blake, what does it mean for you and this team to be playing in a game like this at this point of the season?
I think it's really huge to be playing in a meaningful game against Notre Dame that has a lot of implications to go along with it. And, I think a big thing for Coach Newberry and the whole team really this year has been, we want to be relevant. You don't just want to be another game that Notre Dame has to play, another game that anybody has to play, but, you want to be a game that, is relevant within the national standing of college football. And so I think we're really excited as a team.
When you break the huddle, what do you like best about this offense as you approach the line?
I just like looking out at any single person on the offense and knowing like they're going to do their job or they're going to make a play. It just makes everything easier to look out and know that when I hand the ball to Alex or when I hand the ball to anybody, that the offensive line is going to block for them. The running backs are going to make blocks, the receivers are going to make blocks, and then someone's going to make a play. So that's my favorite part.
Thanks a lot. Good luck.
Thanks, Scott.
Whitney Harding.
Hey, Blake. It's been a while since I've seen you.
Yeah.
You look so great. I mean, the past few years for you, how have you seen yourself grow so that you are able to be in this position that you are now leading this team?
Yeah, I think I've grown a lot in a lot of different ways. And the biggest way has just been, as a leader of a college football team like this. It's a lot different than high school and I have to operate things. And I think the biggest person that has sort of shown me that is my quarterback coach and Coach Ivan Jasper. And he sort of pulled me along and taught me a lot of things that, I wouldn't have known without him. And he's been really integral in that. And just, where I came from, even as a freshman to now has been a lot. And a lot probably wouldn't even know any of that. And so it's been a journey for sure, but, just been trying to make the most of it and enjoy it.
Whenever you go to college, I mean, this is the dream, right? To be leading a team and to be just rolling the way you guys are. Did you think that this was possible? You dream it, but did you think this was possible?
Yeah, exactly like you said. You dream it, but you're always uncertain. Coach actually Belichick came and talked to us before our first game this season, and he said, you got to throw every expectation out the window going into a season and what you think's going to happen and what should happen. And I think that's what we did. And we came in with with dreams and hopes and aspirations, but no expectations or entitlement to anything. And I think that's sort of why we've gotten where we're at.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
Let's go to Bill Wagner.
Blake, what does it mean to you when you see people touting you for the Heisman Trophy?
It's really an honor just to, grow up and just be a huge college football fan and seeing these guys who have even gotten Heisman considerations before and to be, named alongside them. And, there's a lot of guys playing a lot of good football this year. But to be considered and to be up in the running, just one of them, it's been honestly an honor. And, I was talking to my brother, and he was just like, it's just sort of surreal that, people are even saying your name in the same sentence as that. And I agree. And so I'm just thankful and grateful for it all.
Yeah, there's a Twitter feed, Heisman Horvath. You didn't create that, did you?
Oh, yeah, no, definitely. No. I've gotten a few texts from them to follow them back. So I don't know. Maybe I'll have to follow them back. But I appreciate that. I think it's hilarious, though. They're funny.
Do you feel that Scott Strasmeyer should be promoting you for the Heisman more?
No, he's doing a great job.
Seriously, do you feel you should be a candidate?
I feel like just because of what our team has done and because of the position I'm in, I've been sort of elevated to that. Obviously, there have been a few games where, I've probably wanted more out of my play and different things, but, that's not, I guess, my goal. I mean, I don't, there's a lot of great guys out there with Travis Hunter and Ashton Genty. And I think all I can do is just, play my game and control what I can control, and if it ends up there, if it ends up in New York, that would be awesome. But, I think Notre Dame and Army and Rice, Tulane, and ECU are, our biggest focuses right now.
Matthew Adams.
Blake, you've played in this kind of system before. You ran this back in high school, but has that allowed you to have success, or what's the difference between high school and now that's allowed this growth for you?
Yeah. So obviously did run this offense in high school, and that sort of established a level of comfortability, I guess I would say, in the offense. And a lot of times learning the option and different things it's hard. It takes a lot of time. And so being able to come in with already the baseline and the foundation of knowing how to operate within that system was great for me. The biggest thing I had to do was grow as a passer, do with all the great athletes and DBs and, bigger guys. Notre Dame's going to have 6'5", 6'6" plus pass rushers and defensive players coming after me. And so being able to stand in the pocket and be comfortable and deliver a pass down the field has been the biggest area where I've needed to grow from high school. And that's been the biggest thing that's allowed me to sort of grow into this season.
And has that been the biggest focus? You and your quarterback coach, that's probably been a key for you to work on your passing, but are there other aspects with the change in this offensive system, or are there other things you had to add as well?
I would say the biggest thing I had to add was a lot of the timing and rhythm of the offense is dependent on us now. With, we send the motions, we, control when the ball has to be snapped at a certain time. And so that was the biggest thing to learn going into this year, is that the offense sort of operates under you and in your timing and rhythm. And that's really the biggest part of the wing T, is misdirection and timing. And so that was the biggest thing I sort of had to learn through within the offense this year. And then with the passing, I've worked on it a lot, but also playing with Coach Cronic and his ability he was a quarterback as well at Georgia. So, him to come in and work on me with passing and also his ability to draw plays and just get guys wide freaking open has been a lot easier for me as well. So, it's really just a testament to him and Coach Jasper.
Appreciate it, Blake.
Go to our friend across the pond, Oliver Hodgkinson.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Blake. Just a quick to start with, following up on Bill Wagner's question about the Heisman Trophy. Coach came on Monday and he talked about drowning out the noise, both positive and negative, around the program. How easy is it to drown out that positive noise when you are being touted left, right, and center and rightfully so, as a Heisman candidate?
Yeah, I think the biggest part has just been not letting it affect the way you prepare and go about your business, and not getting complacent and overconfident. That has been the biggest things. We have to go to work each week, and what we've done so far has been successful. And when we came into the season, we believed in ourselves, and really what matters is the guys in our room and what they have to say about us and how we're working and how we're doing things. And so I would say that's been the biggest thing is it's cool to acknowledge it and to see it. And, we appreciate being relevant and all this stuff out there, but at the same time, we want to work and we have bigger aspirations than 6 wins. And that's sort of the deal is, 6-0, it looks great, but if we don't win another game the rest of the season, 6-6 doesn't. So, that's why we sort of have to take it a week at a time, block out all the positive noise as well, and just keep going about our business.
You're uniquely positioned to talk about the offensive line improvements, which I think for a lot of people outside of the program looking in, that's been one of the substantial changes from last year. Talk to me a little bit about what you've seen behind the offensive line, how that unit has grown, developed, changed from last year, and how that gives you confidence going into this Notre Dame game, because you talked about some of those pass rushers. Notre Dame fears defensive line. How confident are you going into that game behind that line?
Yeah, they're doing an amazing job this year, and huge improvement. Really, they're healthy this year, and the biggest thing I've seen is they're confident and they don't play with a fear of anybody. We can go out there against Memphis's defensive line, who is big, Notre Dame's defense. Like, I don't think there's any fear in their eyes of who they're going against. They know that, they can get movement. They know they can block them. And it helps too when we're able to get the ball out quickly, and they know that they don't have to block a, Notre Dame defensive lineman for 10 seconds in order for us to get a pass off. They just have to get enough of them in order for our passing attack to sort of work. And so I think, I'm super, grateful for them. My mom makes them sort of baked goods every week after all our games to, sort of show her appreciation for trying to keep me safe. So, they're doing a great job.
Thanks, Blake.
Steve Wino, Associated Press.
Like, you've talked a little bit about this with Drew's offense, but how much different is it from what you ran last year? And what makes that wing T work so well that it seems to take opponents off balance when they don't kind of know what to expect from you and the rest of the offense?
Yeah, I think it seems really complex to defenses in what we do, and that's due to us having so many wrinkles off so many different things. So, you tell your players to read with their eyes and to go with their keys and all these different things that will lead them to the ball. Well, then what happens is that we sort of mess with the defender's eyes and we make everything look the same as a play that we've already run 3 times that game. And then we'll run it and they're like, all right, I know what it is. And then they fly even faster to where they think they're supposed to be going. And then we hit something going the other way, whether that's a reverse to Nathan Kent on 4th and 2 or, a option fake pass down the seam to Eli Heidenreich. And so I think that's been a huge thing is the order of our play calling and be able to set things up and to be able to hit shots down the field when we have to, and also hitting them, not missing them when they're open. And I think that's been the biggest thing is our play calling and making things look really complex when really they're very simple to us.
This game against Notre Dame, I know you guys have goals on winning the conference and all that, but what does a game against Notre Dame mean in terms of showing people who maybe haven't watched and you guys play, you see the record? Is this a measuring stick sort of game?
I would say yes and no. Maybe a measuring stick sort of game for the media and all this and see how we do. I think we know who we are and what we're able to do. And we have to control that. There's nothing that Notre Dame can do that, will change who we are. And the only way, we can beat ourselves, and that's for sure. And that's something we haven't done so far this year. And so I think that we just have to play our own game and then, not press or stress out too much and try to do things that are outside ourselves. And then, we'll just see how the cards fall. But I think we got a good chance.
Kyle Goon, Baltimore Banner.
Blake, first I want to know more about this baked good situation from your mom. So hold on. So where does your mom bring these baked goods, and what did she make for the line last week, for example?
So she's the greatest baker I've ever met. So obviously maybe biased, but she's really good. And so she's done this for a long time, just because I played quarterback my entire life. And so, when I stay healthy and all this, she wants to show her appreciation to the linemen. So I'll grab what she made this past week. She made some, they're in here. She made some chocolate covered cake balls here. So they're delicious. This whole thing was filled. Now there's 4 left from all the offensive linemen and offensive guys. And now even the defensive guys have sort of gotten a few sometimes when there's leftovers, and now they all come in for some too. So she's great. She's amazing.
Then also, to follow up on what Steven was asking, a couple of years ago, cut blocking rules were changed. I was talking to your offensive lineman about this yesterday, and guys can't cut block at the second level. They kind of, for a lot of people, they interpreted that as sort of a death knell for how service academies play football. What do you think your blockers have done well to compensate for that schematically, but also how do they develop sort of that fearlessness you were talking about?
Yeah, it was an adjustment, and that was the biggest thing. When I'd never come into college with the cut block rules. It was my freshman year that they had sort of gone away with them, and it was a really big adjustment for everybody, and everyone was sort of trying to figure it out because Army really didn't know what to do. We didn't know what to do. Air Force didn't know what to do because there were rules specifically made to target academies, and we'll just call that how it is. And so because of that, it caused a lot of different things. And the biggest thing is defenders were playing a lot quicker against our offense because they had no fear of getting cut now. Before they had to slow down a little bit because, they don't want their legs getting taken out. And so it was just a growing period and trying to learn. And the biggest thing I think was our perimeter blocking and with our slots and our receivers. And I think they've done a great job this year. Our coach David Cole, he's just brought a new mentality to sort of the whole thing and striking, even though, our slots, Brandon Chapman might be, 5'10", 5'11", less than 180 pounds. And he's still going to be blocking Division I middle linebackers like, an offensive lineman. And so he's got to go in there, put his body on the line. And I think finally this year, there's a lot of buy-in and the mentality of going to do that and just their willingness. And I think they've had the biggest improvement from, year to year with, trying to get past these cut block rules.
Ralph Russo, The Athletic.
Morning, Blake. I can't help but laugh. I'm thinking like in the NIL era, a lot of quarterbacks are taking their, offensive linemen out for steak dinners, but it's a little different at Navy, huh?
It's a little bit. I don't have that type of paycheck here to be to do that just yet.
Keeping the theme of the new offense going, I'm just like, the guys in front of me have asked some good questions. So when you get this playbook whenever Coach Cronic comes in and you get this playbook, by the way, one of your coaches said your high school coach in one word described you as brilliant. So I'm wondering what your brilliant mind does when you dig into this playbook for the first time, and there's a bunch of new stuff here. You talk about it's complicated to them, but it's not complicated to us. How did you digest the new playbook?
Yeah, I thought as a whole it was just really interesting to sort of see his vision for what he had done at Mercer and to watch all the things they'd done, because the biggest thing is, when you haven't done it, you have to see it. And so we watched old film from, what he had done there, and he was able to really just show us what he wanted it to look like. And he's great at verbalizing that as well within the system and what he exactly wants to see and the timing he wants and all this. So it takes out any questioning of what, what's supposed to happen, because it's very cut and clear. And if that doesn't happen, and also the thing is consistency. The steps that he taught us on the first day are the same steps that he's teaching me today. So not changing that and complicating it in any other way. And so when we first got it, it was very, base level and establishing the foundations. And it's really obviously grown and evolved since then. And now we can really see the bigger picture that we were sort of envisioning back in January and February when he first came in and talked to us. And I think, it's even better than what we could have thought.
So there's you'll get a lot of questions about when did you know it clicked, but I kind of want to go back to the very beginning here. And like, was there ever a point on like a practice or something where like you guys are running into each other, you got all this motion where you're just like, man, I don't know about this. Like, this is going to take a little time.
Yeah. Those first few practices with, I said before, we control all the timing and all these different things. And so the beginning practices when we have to time things up, guys going full speed, hand the ball off, a lot of balls are on the ground, a lot of, running into each other, like you said, on trying to get the footwork right on some handoffs and such. And so it was definitely an adjustment for like the first week. And then afterwards we would spend half an hour almost just working on timing everything up and making sure that we could feel it, because that's the biggest thing is you can't just explain it to somebody like, hey, you're going to wait exactly 1.36 seconds after you look at him to snap the ball. Like, you have to be able to feel that and get used to certain guys running and what they're doing. And so I think once we sort of got that, we're able to feel comfortable within the offense. That's when it finally sort of started to click.
And just to clarify, that's like spring practice. That's your first couple of spring.
That was like very first spring practice, or even like, small walkthroughs. Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Lane Higgins, Wall Street Journal.
I kind of wanted to dig into a little bit of the adjustments that the team made. Last year, obviously you have a new coach, you have new coordinators, and with these cut blocking rules, it's still a little bit different style of play that your offensive line, et cetera, is dealing with. Do you think that this team sort of needed to go through those growing pains in order to have things fall into place this year? And, can you kind of walk us through maybe what some of the lessons of last season's disappointment were?
Yeah. Growing within those rules and going through the growing pains that we had after, those rules sort of took place after 2022. I think the biggest thing was we needed a mindset shift, and we really needed to get back to the traditional old school, like Navy football mentality of toughest team in America, going to, just crush people. Honestly, that's, you don't want to be cliche, but that's sort of the mindset we needed. And not to, say it wasn't like that before, but I think we had taken for granted a little bit with the cut blocks and with different things and not, being as tough, honestly. And so really we changed that with our whole offseason, whether that was our strength coach, Coach Carizzi, and how he ran things, or our winter workouts with the coaches when we're doing the mat drills in our fourth quarter is what we call it. There was just a new sense of urgency and a new sense of new mentality, I guess. There was what the coaches sort of preach in the offseason. There needs to be an urgency to get better, and I think that's really what's happened. And a lot of guys have felt that urgency and have wanted to get better and do things that we haven't done in the past.
Yeah, and kind of on that note, you mentioned getting back to sort of this hard-nosed Navy football identity, but what's interesting to me is that in order to pull that off on the field, your team is, with Coach Cronic, is kind of doing a little bit more of an innovative scheme. Like, this isn't just the old school option, as famously it's been described as Gen Z wing tee, whatever that means. Do you think that, I guess, does this feel like it's that innovative? Like, does this feel that creative and different at Navy?
I think that, so the reason it would be called the Gen Z wing tee is just because when you say wing tee and when Navy fans read that Coach Cronic is a wing tee offensive coordinator, they think back to, the 1980s team that, you played against in high school, or, that you still watch. Some teams still run that. And so I think we say that to say that, hey, wing tee is the base. That is, you need a base offense in any situation. But, we can expand and we can, create new things off of that. And I think having, great, option minds like Coach Jasper, and then bring that along with Coach Cronic and what he's run has sort of led to that innovation in the sense of putting a lot of things together. And so that it's not just the wing tee that people are preparing for, but rather a lot of different things that we've sort of all adapted this year.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we got about 8 minutes before Blake has to go to class, so we'll go one question each if you still have one. Scott Wyckoff.
Watching this Notre Dame defense, what stands out to you the most about the way they play, Blake?
I just think it's just like you'd see in any Notre Dame year. They fly around, they're where they're supposed to be, and they're big. So, like we played against them last year, it's just they're going to play in similar defenses to teams we played this past year, but it's the level of how they do what they do and how we need to play against that. They're, like we said, the urgency, there needs to be that sort of urgency again this week. And there can't be a lull at any point because, they're not going to lull. And so that's the biggest thing is, they're a very consistent defense. And so within that, we need to be consistent on offense in everything we do, blocking, passing, running, from all aspects.
Thanks.
Whitney Harding. Bill Wagner.
So Blake, I mean, not to pound on this Heisman thing, but if you are going to be a legitimate Heisman contender, you have to perform on the big stage. There's no bigger stage than playing Notre Dame on national television at MetLife Stadium. Are you, how much are you looking forward to the opportunity to showcase what your skills are?
Yeah, I'm just super excited. Obviously, there's nerves going into any game, but you can't let that control you. And so I'm just grateful that you can even be in this game. It's why you come to Navy, is to play in the big games and that we have here. And I don't think I need to do anything outside myself, but I don't think anyone on the team needs to do something, make a insane superhero play or do something crazy to win this game. And I think that's what we really have to preach is, just go and play within yourself and don't stress to make mistakes.
Matt Adams.
You talked earlier about, dreaming of this, being on this big stage. Do you ever, you yourself being under recruited, do you ever pinch yourself and think, wow, I'm really here?
Yeah, all the time. Just being grateful for what I've been given and the opportunity that I have has been huge. I didn't know if I was going to play ever, going from a freshman year and just, because it's uncertain year to year, just with everything. And so, being in the position that I've had and just with the opportunity, it's been surreal. And I make sure to think about that before every game just to enjoy myself. And this is something that I get to do. Not a lot of people in the country have this opportunity, and it's not a I have to do it mindset. It's a I get to do it mindset.
Oliver Hodgkinson.
Well, we talked to Coach Newbury on Monday about some of the players in the locker room who've overcome adversity to get to the Naval Academy and to play football, play college football. What is it like being alongside some of those guys? Like we mentioned Xavier McDonald on the team last year, mentioned Cushy Abraham on the team this year. What does it bring to the locker room to have those guys in there and to kind of fortify this team together?
It's really awesome, to be truthfully honest, and it's because there isn't a cookie cutter midshipman where every single person comes from. Every single person has a different story, and not every single person is the same. Like you said, we may have had guys who came from great situations. We're going to go to big schools, maybe have gotten injured or had something else happen and had to come to the Naval Academy. Or then you got people like Cush or Xavier McDonald who have gone through things in their life that people on our team could have never even imagined going through, and it's really an inspiration to everybody. And the fact that we're all here together, just shows. I think we talk about the brotherhood and being the closest team in the country, but understanding that and seeing how those guys work, it's really inspiration to everybody, not just myself, but the entire team sees how Cush goes about things, or how Xavier did when he was here, just being a great role model, being on the all-state, all-hands team, with all the charity work he did and just giving back. And so, they're amazing people on this team that have gone through a lot, and, we're all there for them.
Steve Wino.
Blake, I know you guys have a lot left to do in the season, but at 6-0, do you get any sense for service members around the world, what it means to them that you guys and Army are both undefeated? That do you have any sense of kind of what that means around the world to Naval Academy graduates, folks who are in the Navy?
Yeah, I think just as a team, it's something we've always talked about, is just wanting, to perform and do things. We go out and play at Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium. We're not playing for just ourselves, but every single person that's gone before. Like, it is a memorial stadium to honor all the battles that the Navy and Marine Corps have been involved in. And so, it's awesome when I have, people in the military messaging me online, like reaching out, like telling me congrats and all these different things, and that they're proud of how we're playing this season. I think, just having, that people have a sense of pride in us, it really feels great, honestly. And we're happy to, honor them, really.
Got a little less than 5 minutes left. Kyle Goon.
Ralph alluded to this earlier. You guys, I mean, obviously transfer portal is not as much of a factor at the Naval Academy. You guys don't have NIL. What do you think that does for the composition of your team? And do you sense just more continuity having a benefit against teams that you play that have a lot of turnover and have these different dynamics with NIL money?
Yeah, that's been huge for us, is the fact that we have the same guys coming back each year, and no one new coming in and creating any turmoil or anything like that. And we're building from within has been huge for us. And, I'm not saying that, NIL has made people play not for the love of football anymore, but rather for money. I'm not saying that because I know a lot of people still do, but our team is just solely built on the love for football and the fact that, we want to continue to play and just, and enjoy ourselves out there. I think that's huge, is that there's no egos. There's nobody who wants more money because, they think they deserve it on that, from an NIL standpoint, and, well, the team, because they're not getting paid that. Like, every single person here is for the love of football and for the team, and there's no egos. So I think that's awesome.
3 minutes, Ralph Russo.
Sure, I'll try one. So you guys struggled last year. Did you guys still know you were good? Because I've talked with folks who are like, yeah, they got good players. They really do have good players, but you also averaged like 17 points a game last year. Did you guys know that there was still talent on this team? Where was the confidence level?
Yeah, I think it was just frustrating last year because we knew that we had talented players, and we knew that of what we could do. And I think it just was a lot of frustration within, and some unlucky breaks with, injuries and some different things. And really, a lot of it was also beating ourselves and, letting outside circumstances control us. and not sort of, just letting everything go and just going out and playing free. We let a lot of different things control us. And, it was definitely frustrating after, I got hurt and having to watch from the sidelines, like knowing what we could be. But, I think that just sort of has fueled us even more this year, because we knew what we could be, and we didn't achieve that. And so now we knew what we needed to do to sort of get to this point, or at least try.
2 minutes, Lane Higgins.
I will cede my question to the next person. I'm all good.
All right, thanks, Lane. Does anyone else have one? We got time for one more, probably. Anyone? Wags, you always have one.
I have a question. Is it anyone's birthday today?
It's Scott Strassmeyer's birthday.
Oh, it is? What?
I'm way too old to have a birthday.
Can he get up some baked goods from Mississippi?
Yeah, I'll bring in some baked goods for the Navy Sports Information Department and all the writers.
There you go.
If you could get them shipped across the pond as well, that would be awesome.
I'll try that too.
Scott, I did have one question. Sorry, Blake, I've got one question. No one else has got another question.
Go ahead.
Obviously, you played safety in high school, and how much of that defensive mindset helps you as a quarterback at Navy to understand how opposition defenses want to defend against the option?
Yeah, I just sometimes I think the biggest thing it helps with it is understanding when guys are trying to bait you into a throw, because that's a big thing of what I loved to try to do. Obviously, now I play offense in college, so probably wasn't very good at it. But I think understanding just by their demeanor, it's just something that, you can't always just tell somebody about. Like, you have to experience it, or at least feel it yourself, as someone's demeanor and how they're sort of watching you and what they're trying to do. That's been huge, and not trying to make a bad decision and force a throw that may look like it's open when really the defender is just trying to make you throw it there. So that's the biggest thing I think that's helped me from playing that position.
We were talking to Blake and some of the linemen. What they were saying was one of the keys to this offense, and obviously some of the physical size stuff you guys give up is really lack of hesitation, lack of fear. How do you get these guys to buy into that and play at the pace necessary to run this offense?
We've harped on that since the day I walked in. Just wanting these guys to just not worry about messing up. Like, especially the guys here, they're so conscientious. They want to do well. They have good focus, and they're smart, and they're disciplined. So, they had obviously struggled a little bit, the last few years. And we just wanted them to be able to play with confidence, play fast, play wide open. If you make a mistake, make it full speed and have fun playing. We want this to be fun, football to be a fun time in their day. And there's a lot of ask of these guys. So we don't want this to be an extra bit of stress for them. We want this to be, hey, just fly around, and we'll coach off of that. These guys play with such great effort. It's most of what we have to do as coaches is teach. There's not a lot of motivating that has to go on. We just need to teach and get them, understanding what to do. And that's what they've done so far. And it's been a little bit of a perfect storm, just because there's been a lot of things go right and guys have played well. And so that just kind of builds that confidence and builds, where you feel like I can go play fast. I can go do this. So I just think it's been a lot of positives that have gone on. To where they feel like, they can compete with folks.
And to follow that up, is it tough when, a lot of the guys in this team played this Notre Dame team last year to win a certain way? Is it tougher to keep up that fearless energy when they have that history, or is it a little bit easier in that they've been through a bad game against Notre Dame and they're prepared to handle it anyway?
I don't know. I don't know that you can look back to any previous games. I think this team is this team. It's the 24 team, and I think our guys understand who they are. They understand who we're playing against. Notre Dame's really, really good. Okay, And so I want us to look at it as, man, what an honor, what an opportunity to go see if you can get it done, right? And go find ways to win against really great competition. So but I think they understand, what we're going against. They understand who we are, and they understand the things that we have to do to be successful, which is obviously we're different, right? So we need to be different, and then we need to be disciplined. We need to be physical. We need to play fast. We need to not beat ourselves, because we've not been beating ourselves, right? That's one of the reasons we've been successful, is because, we've taken care of the ball and not had penalties and finished in the red zone and not giving up sacks. Those things have to continue versus anyone for you to be able to have success. So I think it's understanding who you are, what's made you successful, and then go play that way and have fun, playing in front of a big crowd against a great team, and see what you can get done.
Scott Wyckoff.
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned how good Notre Dame is. What makes their defense so good? What stands out to you?
They have great players, first of all. Okay. I mean, they are who they are. They're Notre Dame, and Notre Dame is such a unique situation as well, because of the history and the success, and the type of people it attracts. It's a high academic school, so these guys are all the 4 to 5 stars that are really smart, disciplined young men. And they do a great job coaching them. So they just have a good football team. I mean, they're big and long and fast. So it just is what it is. I mean, they have some of the best players in the country. I think defensively, I would put them in the minimum top 10 in the country defensively, as far as, their personnel, what they do, how they do it, and what they've put on film. I mean, people aren't scoring. It's tough out there. They may have, I want to say, in the second, third, and fourth quarter, they may be the number 1 team in the country. Once they kind of see you for a little while, they really get good. It's all that. Really great players, really great size and length and speed, smart, tough, disciplined, coached well. And they see Navy each year, so they have, they have some understanding about how to defend, what we do. So it is a big time challenge, and what an awesome opportunity for us.
What have you seen from your team in practice this week, getting ready for this big stage?
I think our guys practice the same way for the most part each week. I mean, they understand who we're getting ready to play. I think so far, we've had one real day of practice. Monday's more of a kind of a spider pads and all that. We've had, Tuesdays, always leave the field Tuesday, like, oh my gosh, because you're putting in, you're trying to match up what you're doing versus, what their defense is going to do. And there's some tweaks, and there's some mental errors and some fundamental things that we've got to improve on. Then you hope you can clean some of that up Wednesday, and then really mentally get it all nailed down Thursday and Friday. But I think our guys go out there and practice hard every time.
Have you coached in a bigger game on this type of stage?
I don't know. We've gone and played against Alabama and Ole Miss and those kind of things. At Mercer, and I've been at Furman when we played NC State. We've gone and been in situations like that. I don't know. I don't know if I think about that a lot. I try to just I try to keep an even keel and do the best we can to game plan and prepare these guys, and then just go play without worrying about, all the stuff that, really doesn't make a difference in winning and losing. But it's certainly a big game for sure, and it's certainly a big opportunity.
Thank you.
Wags.
I'm trying to find Newberry on ESPN2, and it doesn't look like it's College Football Live. It's Championship Drive on ESPN2.
Oh, it's the same thing. He's on there. He already recorded it, so he's definitely on there.
All right. So Coach Cronic, have you noticed that there's Heisman talk about Blake Horvath?
Sure, I've noticed. I've
Are you
noticed.
the one that created that Twitter handle, Heisman Horvath?
What's that?
There's a Twitter account called Heisman Horvath. Did you create that?
No, sir. No. I barely can handle it. I'm a retweeter. Like if there's something about Navy football that I think I'll retweet it, but I don't get on. I don't even think I know how to make a Twitter. I think my wife made it for me. So yeah.
What do you think he should be a Heisman Trophy candidate?
I think he's pretty dang good. I don't know, all that stuff. I mean, you got to get the whole season. You got to see everything, and but I certainly know how valuable it depends on how you define it. Is it the is the guy that's the most valuable to his team? I mean, he's valuable to our football team. And he has played really good football. And obviously having a kid at that position play at that level has really been fun, and he's fun to coach. And that kid makes us look like we know what we're doing. And a lot of our guys, I mean, all our guys are awesome, but certainly he is special. But I don't know. I think at this point in the season, he's deserving of somebody mentioning that. I do think that.
Well, if he were to really become a legitimate candidate, a game like this would be one of those chances to be on a big stage, national stage, against a great opponent, highly ranked. I mean, I think if he did played the way he's been all season against Notre Dame, that would surely make a statement, don't you think?
Certainly. Every time you get a chance to play against the best competition in front of that many people, certainly. And we hope that after this game, there's more talk, right? We hope that's the way we play, but I don't want that kid worried about any of that stuff. I just want him to be Blake Horvath and have fun playing. And there's so much there's so much noise out there that it doesn't matter that much. You got to show up and prepare and play and have fun and just enjoy being a college football player. And that's all we try to get him ready to go. And man, he's got a smile on his face, and his teammates believe in him, and but he's certainly, when you play a team the caliber of Notre Dame, it magnifies every little mistake, every little fundamental. If you take the wrong step, everything you do is magnified as far as you have to execute at a high level, because without that type of execution, you just get exposed in all kinds of ways. So that's all I want our players worried about is that. But we certainly, I believe in our team, and we're gonna go out there and fire every bullet that we have.
So you had talked about Notre Dame being familiar with what Navy does, but they're not really familiar with what you do, your offense. They've never played your offense. I'd listened to Coach Freeman's press conference, and he talked about defending the option. He's not even calling it wing T. Do you think they figured out, that you're not running triple option exclusively and that you have other elements to your offense?
Yeah, they got a lot of film they've looked at. Those guys are pretty sharp. I think they know exactly what they're looking at.
Okay.
So we're not, it's all on film, right? So they it's not like we're going to sneak up and all of a sudden you're not going to reinvent your offense, and do something completely different. I mean, it's those guys are one of the best defenses in the country. There's a lot of reasons why. It's because they got good coaches too, and so they'll have their team disciplined and with disciplined eyes, fitting the right gaps. And we want to try to do obviously you try to do some wrinkles to mess with folks. But we're going to have to play really well. Can we do that? Sure we can, but they're not going to be clueless out there. I promise you that. Okay. They're going to understand what we're doing. And because some of the things we do are more traditional, and they see it everybody sees it. It's just, hopefully the combination of all those things and the movements and making you defend a lot of different things, hopefully makes you play a step slower, or maybe, get your eyes dirty a little bit sometimes, and gives us a chance, right? We have to be different here. So I don't think we're just going to out scheme them. Okay. I think, but I do like what we do, and I believe in what we do. And I think it gives us the best chance to be successful, to do something different and make people have to defend a lot of things. And, but the bottom line is, Wags, if we turn the ball over, it's going to be a long day, right? If we have penalties, it's going to be a long day. Those are the things that matter. I mean, you got to block, and you got to tackle, and you got to make plays when they're there. And if there's an opportunity to make a play, it's got to be made. So it just magnifies all those moments. But that's also fun. Okay. See if you let's go. Let's see if we can do it. So that's how I want the kids thinking. I want them to believe they can get this done, because they can.
Thanks for
JP Acosta, SB Nation.
Hi, Coach. I was wondering, through the first half of the season, Navy is top 3, I believe, in yards per play on offense. And I was wondering, what has been kind of the most fun part about blending what you ran and what you were successful at Mercer with some of the triple option principles that Navy was built on offensively?
It's been a blast. I haven't done a lot of triple in the past. Done a little bit of, some option principles over the years, but nothing like what we're doing now. So it's been unbelievable amount of fun to see if we could blend that. And you have to have players that can do that too. Like, you got to have a quarterback who can handle running triple, but also do some pro style things. And that's what Blake has been so special with that. And being able to work with this staff and guys like Ivan Jasper, okay, who has been unbelievable, in the triple option as a coach. And the other guys on the staff, Mick Yukaitis and Tommy Laurendine and Jason McDonald, have so much history with that, to be able to put all those people in one room together, along with me and Dave Cole and Jay Guillermo, just the whole staff, John Williams, and bring things to the table and be able to merge that together has been so much fun, because I love the creative part of offensive football. And that has been phenomenal. So much fun for me. I've learned a lot. So hopefully I've been able to grow as a coach just by being around all these great people.
When you talked a little bit about bringing in all these different coaches from different coaching styles and coaching trees, how important is it when you have so many different ideas in one room when it comes to the creation of an offense that is one of the most fun watches in the nation right now in Navy?
Well, I appreciate that. I hope it looks that way Saturday. But I think it's important that everyone is valued. Okay, first of all, I think when people feel like they're being listened to, and everybody does. These are smart coaches, and they've done it a lot of different things, and I want everybody to feel like, man, if they got an idea, let's put it out there on the table. Now, my job is to corral that up and make sure it all fits, right? We are very systematic, even though we've blended the offenses, different things. We want to be systematic. We want one thing to build, and we want this play to protect this play. So my job overall is to make sure that those things are happening. And it's not just me, everybody's doing that at the same time, but still, it's still, if you're going to be the guy kind of in charge of that room, then you got to make sure that everybody's ideas are heard, that we go through it. We understand what we want to be and what our players are good at, because there's a lot of great things to do, but we got to make sure we're putting our kids in good situations. And my job is to kind of get that, narrowed up and make sure that it all makes as much sense as possible. Hopefully we do that week in and week out. I mean, there's times after a game, I went, man, I missed on that one. I probably shouldn't have called that one right there, or, maybe should have designed this play a little bit more like this. I mean, you always, as a coach, you're trying to figure it out and do it better. And, but I think it's been so much fun, that, meshing of all those ideas and trying to build something that's different, that's difficult to prepare for.
Lane Higgins, Wall Street Journal.
I kind of wanted to ask about the team that you inherited this year. I know you were not with the team in 2023, and there was definitely some ups and downs and maybe some growing pains as, particularly on the offensive side of the ball, the team was adjusting to the new cut blocking rules and just the new ways that it was trying to run an offense with, new head coach, new coordinator, etc. In some ways, do you think that some of the progress that the team made last year in figuring out kind of how to run a slightly different scheme maybe primed them to better execute your offense? And just, I mean, they got used to learning new offenses, right? Because you were the third new coordinator in 3 years.
I think so. I think anything you go out and you get better at helps you.
Mhm.
Obviously there was some, I mean, every season there's going to be some level of growing pains, right? You're going to have some level of successes, some level of failures. So did, changing offense did it help their ability to adapt and all that? Quite possibly. When I got here this spring, I was excited about some of the guys and what I'd seen them do that fall, and how that could fit in the changes we were going to make. So, I think every bit of experience that you get helps you improve. I don't think there's any question.
And obviously the offense that you're running is not, as we've discussed on this call, it's not straight triple option. There's other elements and wrinkles to it. But in some ways, do you think the identity of the offense is more maybe in line with the kind of old Navy that we're used to seeing, where it's just really hard nosed, tough, like ethos wise? Do you think that this is almost a throwback team?
I hope so. I do. I want to be that way. I want to be tough minded and hard nosed, yeah, I hope that's how we are. The main thing was, can we, be versatile enough to do all these other things, right? You can only be good at so many things. So, but I hope that when people look at us, they go, man, you gotta be ready to stop, these certain things that they've always done. So yeah, I totally hope that's the case.
All right, we'll go back around one more time. Kyle Goon.
Hey, Drew, have you had any of Blake's mom's cookies or treats that she's been making for the offensive line?
I've had one of those. I think it was one of those chocolate. I don't know what you call it.
Chocolate covered cake bite.
Yeah, it's pretty sporty. It's pretty sporty. So it's good stuff. Yeah, she's it's funny, she tell you one story after the UAB game, and I'd met her before back in the spring. But I went out to see my parent. My dad had come to the game down in Birmingham because they live in Georgia, and I walked out of the gate because there's a gate there where the buses are. So I went to see my dad, and when I tried to get back in, they'd locked me out. So I'm like, man, I got to get back here, shower, and make sure the buses don't leave me. And she grabbed me there, and we had a great conversation. And she was very excited about just Blake and how much fun he's having, and that as a coach, that's makes you feel good when a parent is on board, right? But those chocolate cover kit, whatever that is, yeah, that's a life-changing experience for sure.
Wow, Scott, you're gonna have to include the recipe in the next notes package. And just one thing that the academy has that not a lot of college football programs have right now is continuity, because the transfer portal has changed a lot of college football. You have a bunch of seniors on your offense. Do you think that has an effect in game? Because I was talking to Connor and he was saying, yeah, like once we get a lead, you can kind of see that other teams aren't as cohesive as we are, and it's harder for them to come back against us. Do you see that happening in games?
I think that's a very real thing here. Our guys have been together. Okay. And it's a developmental program, which I love. And there's nothing wrong with, because a kid transfers or changes. Sometimes that's a better situation, but it's harder when you got so many new faces in a program each year. It takes some investment, and time and energy together to really fight for each other at a high level. I really think that, so this is a special place. It really is. I love coaching at the Naval Academy, because of the people and how they are. And that, hey, we're gonna have these guys, we're gonna get to develop them. And obviously you lose a few guys, right? But not it's great to have guys for a while and see a plebe, a lot of, and I haven't got to see some of that, as much, but just hearing other coaches talk about a guy who's a plebe and then 2 years later he's just come so far. And then those guys have done all these things together, not just as a football team, but as a midshipman here, as a student here. So I think that has to be one of our superpowers, right? Is the fact that, we are a group that's been together and cares about each other and done hard things together and developed together and built those kind of relationships.
Scott Wyckoff.
Coach, I know it's a selling point when you guys are out in the recruiting trail to players that they'll have the opportunity all 4 years to suit up against Notre Dame. Was Notre Dame having the opportunity to coach against them part of the allure that brought you to the Naval Academy?
Sure. I mean, it's all everything about who you get to coach against, all the different teams and the places you get to go, and those, the service academy games and this conference is, I think, a really good conference. And, but yeah, it's awesome. Like, I mean, I remember being 6 years old and Georgia and Notre Dame playing national championship game in 1980, Herschel Walker and all that. So Notre Dame is one of those storied programs, that and you have so much respect for who they are and how they do things and the level of coaching and the players. I mean, I think it's just an unbelievable honor to get to do that, get to coach against them.
And how does the Cronic family handle the 1-0 mantra each week? And how are they handling it this week, playing number 12 in the nation?
Oh, yeah. They're awesome. I think my wife is bringing the boys up there and to have that experience, and they're excited. My 12-year-old, he just talks about all of it, right? He just, Dad, you think we can do this, or what if this happens? I mean, it should be fun for your family, right? And I know sometimes this business can be mean, and it can be tough. I certainly want to enjoy it myself and my family to enjoy it as well. That's really important.
Awesome. Thanks.
Wags.
So obviously last season, Notre Dame dominated at the point of attack. Can you talk about the challenge of your offensive line to try to get some movement? Because, they're pretty stout up front. And I can tell you this guy, Howard Cross, will be playing in the NFL one day. They're very, very talented up front. That's always
You're talking about 56. He's a dude. He is a dude. They're great up front. All we can do is all we can do, and we've got to be fundamentally sound. Put the young men in a good situation, but we're going to have to win some battles now. Okay, I mean we got to come off the ball and expect to make blocks and hang on, man, and just hang in there. We get that. We understand that. The players understand that. So it is a very challenging thing, and we have to play at a high level up front and at every position on offense to give ourselves a chance. There's no question about that. So, and then we have to, I have to, as a play caller, try to have balance and, try to keep Notre Dame off balance. But the bottom line is the young men got to go out there and make plays. They got to make blocks. They got to make throws, make catches, make runs, break tackles, have great leverage. and play with great discipline and enthusiasm to have a chance, right? And that's what we want to do, is give ourselves a chance in this game. We got to win the turnover battle. I tell you what, if our defense can score 14 points, that'll help. I like them doing that last week. That was freaking awesome. Our defense played lights out last week. Man, it was awesome. Awesome watching those guys make plays. So, but I got a lot of faith in our team, and we got to play complementary football. And but our boys up front are going to have a great challenge, and I'm excited to see how they respond to that challenge.
Thanks, Drew.
Yes, sir.
Howard Cross's dad is a darn good tight end for the New York Giants too. JP Acosta.
How has, like we talked about earlier, the blending of the offense, how has the merging of this offense benefited from having, like you said, so much continuity along the offensive line?
Well, I think that's been, I think we do have a pretty veteran group. Obviously, we have, a senior at center, senior at both tackles. Ben Fervis has a lot of experience. So those guys have played a lot of snaps, and they're very smart. And obviously, they had been criticized a lot in the past, and some of it, and some of that's fair and some of it's not fair, right? So football's a team game, man. 11 guys got to go do their job, and so I'm really proud of our offensive line. I'm proud of our offensive line coaches, and the way they've gone about improving. We ask a lot of our offensive line. Okay, we ask a lot. We're doing a lot of different things, and they have to understand it and be able to execute it. And so I couldn't be prouder of the work and the job those guys have done. They have been without those guys playing well. It's hard, and they've given us a chance every week.
Lane Higgins.
Okay, thanks, Drew. I wanted to ask one more question, just kind of from a 10,000-foot view. With your offense, as you've described as Gen Z wing T, which is probably two words that most people wouldn't put in the same sentence. So what about that specific scheme gives a team like Navy, or really any team, but specifically a team like Navy, an advantage or some window to exploit in a game against an opponent like Notre Dame that maybe on paper is looking like they are more of the Goliath than the David in this?
Certainly. I think it's just it's different, right? You don't see it. I think you want to be a hard preparation, to give our guys who they're going to be a little bigger than us, right? It just is what it is. So, to give our playmakers a chance to make plays, to create a matchup here or there that gives us a better opportunity. You get a lot of singled up coverage, so when you get into the passing game, a guy's got to, he's got to win, on a safety or a corner or whatever. And then make the defense, play assignment football, and hopefully some of the weirdness of our formations and maybe some shifts in motions, makes them play maybe one step slower. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to make that, you don't want that defense to be able to pin their ears back and just come after you. And so you hope you're able to, and Notre Dame's going to blitz us some. It's not that they're not going to be aggressive, but you hope that some of this settles teams down and makes them play just one half a count slower, because they got to look at something, and process it. Hopefully it's all those things together. Now, the more people see what we're doing, we certainly have been different, really different for people, especially early in the season, because, they just didn't, maybe have a lot of film on it or whatnot. So now the more film that's out there, people have a little better handle on what we're doing. So we got to try to make sure we stay maybe one step ahead, just with little wrinkles here and there. But that's what I think you have to do at Service Academy. But we do have playmakers now. We have playmakers on our team, and so we want to try to give those guys the best chance to put them in good situations. And I think, if we just lined up in the gun every snap and ran inside zone, and you know, and allowed people to do other things, it wouldn't be what we need to do. But a lot of variety, a lot of making people play assignments, a lot of making people have good eye discipline, gives us a better chance.